Yeah, probably, you know, and then come on back.
Yeah.
Someone come in.
Okay. Yeah,
We're live and fuzzy. Okay. All right, we're gonna open the planning board meeting of 12/19/2017. I need a motion and a second.
So motion?
Second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. First thing I want to bring up is to appoint the Groveland Water and Sewer Board as the planning board's peer review agent for all plans using Groveland Water and Sewer into the future. Need a motion, and I need a second.
Make a motion to have the water board.
Okay. Come to peer
Second.
review.
Yep.
Need a second?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want to be short. I don't know, reopen the hearing for Billis Way. I'm gonna read the legal notice. The planning board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 19, 2017, at 7:30 PM in the main meeting room at Town Hall, 183 Main Street, Groveland, Mass. To reopen a definitive subdivision plan of land known as Billis Way located at 157 Main Street, Assessors Map 06, parcels 06 and 07, under Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81W. What has prompted this is, we've been told a lot of things, but they're not appearing on the plans. And so we're gonna make our demands at this point. Parcels A and B on the plan need to read deeded to the town of Groveland upon acceptance of Billis Way subdivision by Groveland Planning Board. Parcel A shall be deeded to the town of Groveland with an agreed-upon road and a gate into the Groveland Cemetery for pass and repass by town vehicles. Parcel B shall be deeded to the town of Groveland, including the retention pond, which will serve both the Billis Way subdivision and the Groveland Cemetery for stormwater runoff. It will also serve as a service way into the well 4 area and also protect the stream that flows through the area. Lot 3 shall use organic materials for both lawns and ice melting. Fertilizers and salt are prohibited. Can we get those on a plan? Okay. And I'd like to get that thing about the lawns and ice melting.
The lawn and ice melting is fine. But I can-
Well,
it's gonna be highlighted.
I'd like to get that in the deed.
It's gonna be on the, it's gonna be in the minute, memorandum of decision, correct?
Yes, oh, yes.
So that'll be on the plan in that form.
Boy, what I would do is a note for Lot 3. But I'd like to have that in the deed for Lot 3. And the more I've learned about the protection of these wells in this town in the last few weeks, let me tell you right now, we need to do it. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes than most people know.
So, Mr. Chairman, we can certainly address all of those. I think, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the plans, as they've been updated, include the references with respect to parcels A and B being conveyed, being deeded to the town,
Yes,
correct?
we're gonna make the drawing, I believe they are, yes. Okay, so I'm-
So the only of the three things that were just mentioned that has not yet been addressed is the plans don't currently reference no fertilizers or salts for Lot 3, but we can certainly add it to the plan as a note before preparing the Mylars. We can include it in the memorandum of decision, and we can require per the memorandum of decision that it be included in the deed itself. That's fine.
Okay.
Do you have the block on the Mylars where the memorandum cross-references the plan, the book and plan? just because it, and it should be on,
You can have that, so you know what you want.
Thank you.
approved, subject to copy of, yeah.
I'm also gonna, and sheet 13's gonna have the memorandum decision right.
Oh, you gotta put the whole thing on, on a sheet? Oh, that's all, okay.
13, what Peter asked, man, so we do it.
Yeah, no, that's good, that's a good idea that way. That's good, they get some cross-reference. And then on here too, you can do the same thing. Typically on the front page.
On the front page of,
Yeah, on the
The
front page of the memorandum, it'll say book
Well,
and page.
it's actually on the back page.
You put it on the back?
Yeah, Peter's got it on the back, very last page.
I'm gonna put that whole document, and
Sure.
Peter will send me a Word
No,
file.
we do this. You don't do this.
On the plan, I'm gonna put it on the plan.
Yes, on the plan.
So if I get a copy of that, for the Word file, I can put it on the plan, so you can be aware of it. It's the exact copy of what you give me.
If I may, if the Word document has been forwarded to the board, they have it present.
We have, this isn't finished yet.
No, as soon as it's finished.
I think that all is being suggested, and certainly we don't have to do it, it's additional work, but I think that it was suggested, maybe by Peter, that once the memorandum of decision has been finalized and it's been voted upon and signed, that we would take a PDF of that document and we would add it to a separate sheet of the plans, the final sheet, and it would be recorded with the plan, in addition to being recorded in the document section of the registry. If you don't want that to be done, we don't have to do it, it's more work, but it can easily be done and it can be added as a sheet to the plans. We defer to the board in that regard.
That's fine, as long as they cross-reference, so that the book and page of the actual Mylars will be on here.
And vice versa.
And vice versa.
Sure.
Because years ago, we found out that people would get a copy of the plan or the memorandum and couldn't find the other and
You
didn't
mentioned
realize
that
it.
before, that's fine, we can do
Yeah.
that.
The only other thing is, at this point, I've reopened the hearing. I'm not crazy about closing it, quite frankly, because we got a memo from Groveland Water and Sewer on December 11th relative to everything going on still. So, you know, I just want to make sure, are we going to make any more changes to the plan?
I didn't get a copy of that.
No, I haven't
thought
seen
We
any.
were all set, I gave you copies of the plans, and I also sent it to Peter. I don't know if you just talked to Tom, or?
No, I have not, I just had detailed conversations with Tom.
Bill, can you clarify, because I think it makes sense, both for the board's benefit, my own benefit, and the benefit of those who are in attendance, to sort of recap where we've been. So we had closed the public hearing on this project. The next step we anticipated at that time was to review a memorandum of decision that you would ultimately vote upon and sign the Mylar. It was then discovered that there was an issue with the plans. Water and Sewer brought it to our attention. What modifications did you make at that time?
I think we'll move pretty quickly, it's only about 3 or 4 things.
On sheet 8.
Has only deal with, it has to deal with mostly just with sewer and water. What happened was, there's a conflict in the front with the old 8-inch water line, which is on the Dulles Way side of the roadway, of Main Street.
Mhm.
And there was a conflict with the sewer in that pipe. So we had to adjust the elevations of the sewer going back into the property, into the subdivision. So the sewer is in the same location, it just doesn't go back to Spire, it goes back to 657 instead of station 800. So lot 3 and lot 4 both need an individual pump, which we added the plans of the force main and went to the new manhole. That's basically the change in terms of the sewer goes. Everything else stays the same, the road stays the same, the drainage, grading, the lot configuration, nothing changes on the rest of the subdivision other than the sewer length and the fact that we need a second individual sewer pump. And this the sewer and water commission has reviewed and they're agreeable to it. The second thing we had to do was to get rid of that 8-inch water main, which is only serving, this is according to the town water department, only serving this hydrant, which is right in front of the project, which is right in front of the Billis Home 157, which we were also planning on taking offline anyway and putting on the new water main anyway, so it wasn't gonna be hooked up to that anymore. It was hooked up to the new water line main we're putting in. So that water main is gonna be terminated and cut and capped back, towards the back of another hydrant. And Bulge Ave, which is up here, is gonna be tied into the new water main. It's on the 12-inch water main, which already has a gate, and we're gonna tie that into the town as part of the off-site improvements that we agreed to do,
Okay.
correct that.
But are there gonna be any more changes to
As
this?
far as I know, no. I talked to Tom a few days ago with, just those revisions, and don't think there'll be anything additional in terms of water and sewer. I don't know if Peter can speak to that or not, I don't know if you've seen the plans.
No, I have not been able in the last 2 weeks to.
Well, do you mind if I leave the hearing, this hearing open? I'll talk to Tom, and Peter, you should talk to him as well,
Yes, I will talk.
okay, at this point, and,
This is so they have their own review now.
because I don't wanna have this thing keep changing, and then all of a sudden, we sign something.
Nor do we. We thought, and we'll take responsibility for it, we thought we were done. Hence, we asked you to vote, and it was brought to our attention afterwards through water and sewer that there were these changes that need to be made. So
Yeah.
we made them. I had thought through the last email exchange I saw, which in fact was before your last meeting, which we sought a continuance of because, or maybe you didn't have a quorum. I can't remember which it was.
No,
I think-
we didn't have
We
one.
had,
Right.
Okay.
We had it up until Bobby left.
Right, that's what it was. So we had thought at that time, for that meeting, that issues had been addressed through water and sewer. That was the last email exchange I saw. I haven't seen this latest email or
So-
letter that you say was dated the 11th.
When's the next meeting, January?
It's right here.
Okay, so how about a motion just to continue the hearing until all the engineers get together and final issues, and everybody will issue a, we're done, thumbs up? Peter, you'll do that? And when's our next,
We have to come up with dates, I mean, what,
mid-January?
the January, the first Tuesday is January 2nd. You wanna skip a week and go the 9th?
Let's see. January 8th.
There should be one more page in front of it also.
Tuesday the 9th, does that give you guys enough time, or do you wanna go to the
The
next?
only thing is, I'm gonna have a conflict on the 9th.
So let's jump to the next one then, so that's the end of the, so 14 days, so.
Well, does he have to be here then?
Who's that?
Peter,
Well,
if he
yeah,
just
if he's-
sends in, but if he sends us everything ahead of time,
I don't know.
Yeah, I could, if we get everything wrapped up, I can just send a letter.
just a letter.
Because
and
the
then it'll
memorandum of
send-
decision is more or less ready, right? It's just a
Right.
question of whether the water sewer has any
Well,
outstanding.
Getting
he's gotta
everything
write it,
wrapped up,
so
right.
he's gotta write it after the review, and then you've gotta send in an approval, and then,
No, it's been written. It's been written
It's,
for a couple
yeah,
months,
it's in
isn't it?
here.
not with those items, though.
One.
No,
It's,
it's in the
well,
one.
it'll be,
Yeah,
Yeah, it should be a quick, I mean, the board has the latest draft, except for I left a couple.
that gives you, I'm just saying, it gives you guys a week, roughly, of workdays to get all of this done.
Well, it'll be my focus so that it'll get taken care of.
So if it's not done on the 9th, then we gotta continue to the 23rd. Personally, I'd just rather wrap it
One
up.
of the things I wanna do,
One whack.
Wally, is to have one meeting a month with developers and also A&R plans.
Yeah,
The other meeting, because believe it or not, we got 7 prior situations. Some ready to, completely be fulfilled.
Yep.
And some in Never Never Land, and some, that we know we got some problems with them, okay?
Right.
So I wanna take and have every month a focus meeting on some of those things, and then try to get them done and finished and out the door.
okay, so on this, just for them, complete the motion and move them on, so do you wanna have them on 9 or 23?
That's up to.
And that's
the-
water sewer too, they've got their own
It's
engineer
gonna-
to review this
It's gonna set
too.
everybody else up as well, I mean,
They've asked if I would want to review it, and we can provide that.
Okay.
we have everybody else here right now, so we have Nichols Village. What date would you rather choose to come in, the first meeting of the month or the last meeting of the month? Same with Christensen and Sergi, which date? Don't go out the door. It's good to get everybody together.
Yeah.
I would say the 23rd, just because then everything's ironed out, done, no hiccups. And I'm not sure about the other,
Are you planning on meeting both dates, on the 9th and the 23rd? Is that-
Yes.
yeah, but
But not
one's a
with
work,
We're gonna
one's,
try-
one's a work
Yeah,
meeting
we
for
wanna
us,
get
so-
into a work session.
I understand.
That's what we're trying for.
Well, we would obviously prefer sooner than later. If the board is inclined to make it the 23rd, we understand that. We just ask that every effort be made to be sure that we can wrap it up on that date. We're just obviously anxious to bring it close to the process, as I'm sure you know.
oh, yeah,
I don't see why we couldn't have everything wrapped up if it were the 23rd, because that's ample
Yeah,
time.
that gives plenty of time. Because you guys can work behind the scenes and
I hope we're set, right?
So
then we'll
which
be
day-
triple set.
Which,
Yeah.
which date is it gonna be, the 9th or the 23rd?
Well, we defer to the board. Is that-
I'd say 23 and get everybody,
Okay.
Well, how about Nichols and,
yeah, Nichols, what,
Nichols, would you rather have the 23rd too? Okay,
Okay.
that's better. And, how about,
Christensen
They
just
walked
walked out
out.
the
they
door.
walked out the door, so.
So
So
he's
we got
stuck
two,
on the
we got 2 out of
23rd.
3,
Stuck
so,
on the 23rd.
I don't care what he wants.
He lost.
yeah.
okay.
So
So 23rd, need a second on the motion, I guess?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 So that was the 23rd?
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Did you get
Here's
a
your copy back. I
Okay.
was able, I took a copy
You
of
got
it.
it.
Okay.
Thank you.
He's only got the
He's
one.
working, okay.
I'm gonna go,
Do you have a hand on
Yeah, go.
right.
I'm gonna go
Fetch
grab Bobby. I'll take one of
it?
those.
Okay, what's next?
Nichols.
Wait, wait.
and then
Nichols, what are they
Atwood.
doing?
It's their first,
Oh,
they're opening
okay.
it.
Opening?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Billsley, that's done. Did we appoint water sewer?
We did.
Okay, that's done. Let's see, Nichols.
So it'll be Nichols, then Atwood, then
21.
lot line, and then our internal stuff.
21 Wood Street. What's that? Oh, is this the one we sent back in there? I forget
No,
what-
because he was in a Wood Street address when we did that.
So
I
what was
don't know
that?
what that was. I actually don't know if it, is it him? What's
What's the 21 Wood Street? Did we
It's
get
a,
something?
it's that plan we just finished.
Oh, the one to the other
Yeah,
one. Did
that's
they
what-
sell
their-
it?
Their lawyer said, no, go back in and show them all the pieces and everything.
Huh?
The one that we did the last meeting?
Yeah,
Okay,
I thought we approved that.
but we did.
We did.
And we signed it.
Okay.
Okay.
You're back, huh? Which one do you want to do first, Jim?
Do you want to do Nichols or do you want to?
You want to do
no, we
good?
gotta do Nichols. We
Okay.
have to do Nichols.
All right, so Nichols up, so you got to sit there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here.
We could sneak him in between.
Nice to see the band back together.
Nichols,
Going.
Nichols.
Do we have a sign-up sheet for whoever's here for Nichols?
Right there.
All the citizens, anybody?
I think that any of them really-
Where's,
Mine.
the wheelchairs coming? Okay. Oh, this is our vote letter.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is our line.
Gonna respond tonight or not.
Okay.
Is that a year date?
Yep.
Okay. Motion open a hearing?
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Do you have notices or anything we're reading? Is that the Nichols?
No, their Nichols is in here. This was.
Nichols is in that packet that I
That one.
left with the chair earlier. It contains the green cards, the notice of
Everything.
the publication, my certificate that we mailed out 66.
This one was easy, I only sent it
Back
out.
there, 57 green cards and 9 unsigned.
I see that.
So we had a good acceptance of the cards. And those are the letters that went out to each of the 66
Okay.
abutters.
What's the notice?
And it was certified by the assessor's office as to who the abutters are. And the publication was 2 consecutive weeks in the lives of the tribune, originals of which are right there.
Alright, so, the 21st and the 14th.
14th and 21st, yes.
The planning board will hold a public hearing at Groveland Town Hall on Tuesday, December 5th, 2017, at 7:30 PM to consider the application of Nichols Village Incorporated to approve a modification to a previously approved planned unit development, special permit, and to issue a stormwater and land disturbance permit for property located on Nichols Way.
What was the date, 20?
It was November 14th and November 21st, but they had continued from,
Continue.
December
Okay,
5th.
so we're all set.
yep.
All right. Any objections to the notice?
Now, I just make a note that it noted as as you had suggested, the earlier meeting, but there wasn't a quorum, so a public announcement was made to
Right.
those who were here, and we continued it to this evening.
Okay, that works. Not noted. Okay, who's opening?
Well, I guess I'll just give you a brief opening. My name is Richard Sheehan. I'm an attorney in Haverhill. I represent Nichols Village. With me here is Richard, president of Nichols Village, Al Crapo, our architect, Steve Sawyer, our engineer, Mark Beckler, who is with C.E. Floyd, our contractor, and Jared Stewart, who is with Bethany Homes and Management Company. So they're each here to make a presentation as you find necessary. Just a brief history, you recall, about 15 years ago, we appeared here with the original project, looking for a special permit. It was granted, and I have the special permit with me. The application tonight is for a modification of that special permit. Findings were made at that time as to the need for the special permit, the impact on the community's resources, impact on neighborhoods, impact on traffic, and all those things. And none of those, I suggest to you, have really changed. We have a new water tower there. There'll be no off-site improvements. There'll be no digging up any streets in Groveland. There'll be no off-site improvements. We had requested 11 specific waivers at that time. But the engineer will talk to those. We asked him for no new waivers. We'll comply with those, and some don't apply at all. I don't know if I have to give much of a history of it. It's been a very successful housing situation down there. We find the need continues. There's a waiting list for people to go there. We are also going to upgrade some of the facilities to add a wellness center, because people are looking for that, bring healthcare to that place. Again, it continues to be independent living. We're going to replace the swimming pool with a larger pool. We're going to add a second dining option, less formal than the formal dining room that we have now, where lunches or dinners, or frankly, with families might come and just have a little less formal atmosphere than sitting at a table with white tablecloths. There'll be some flat screen TVs, might be in there watch a football game on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, more conducive to less formality. That seems to be what people are wanting again. So that's the overview. Al Crapo will talk about the project. Steve Sawyer will talk about the improvements that are engineering. Jared will talk to you about the management, and Dick and I will be here answering any other questions. We ask you to grant the special permit favorably, the modification. In addition, we have on tonight a stormwater management and land disturbance permit. That was not issued the first time. We didn't seek one, nor did we need one, but we are seeking one and need one this time. And the hearing tonight is on both those, the modification of the existing special permit and the issuance of a special, issuance of a permit for stormwater management and land disturbance.
Is that on the, do we have a separate app for that?
That
We
should
can run
be-
the hearings, okay. And,
The
Peter,
notice
you get-
actually said both.
We have
okay,
a separate app, we have.
You got everything on
each
there?
of them.
okay. So, just for, I think, the board's probably heard a lot of this. Some of the folks have heard this, but we haven't heard since you guys have been doing the reviews on it. You guys have been passing the reviews back and forth, right?
Actually, we've got one review. We're gonna hear of any of the board comments, or respond to those comments, and, incorporate an updated set of drawings, responding to, GZA's comments and any board comments, so.
Okay.
the revised
Jim, would you like to
drawings.
pick up there? Where,
When you wanna go over each one of these things?
or just where we left, because we know about the initials, so since they've already got one set and then a mod set of drawings, pick up where they left off? Or,
Yeah, well, I guess this is the first time we're really presenting the project, but if, so you just wanna review the peer review comments? Or,
Peter?
I don't know if the board did you wanna hear the other presentation by the applicants, or go through the comments?
Yeah, one of the things that, what I'd like to see this do is, it comes down. You respond to Peter,
Yeah.
okay? And as that's taken care of, okay, you come down to a few or whatever, and, you want to iron it out between the two of you, that's what we're more after, rather than the board getting after each one of them. And just, if we come down to a few you disagree with, yeah, the board gets involved at that
Yeah.
point.
As
We're
far
not
as-
there yet.
Yeah, yeah, the list of comments, they're all reasonable comments, and we plan on responding to them all.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, some of the drawings have been updated to respond to some of the comments, particularly circulation. That's one of them we may want to review tonight, the entry circulation, how we handle that. And most of them, what's that?
We've provided we've created to provide the site plan work.
Yeah.
Photometric studies,
Yeah.
supplement those submissions.
And I think the only comment that I think we'd be looking for a waiver from the board would be the landscape design, registered landscape architect design.
What's going in its place, is there gonna be?
Well, there will be landscaping, it's just a matter of, the landscape architect is a member of the team yet. We plan on, integrating new landscape, throughout the addition area. We do maintain screening on the property now, and we'll keep it throughout this addition, and then we will integrate, landscape to the facility as part of the project. You can see there's landscaping around
Yeah.
now, so we intend on maintaining that current field.
So what do you suggest? I mean, you could do landscape architect is going to do a plan? Because you guys haven't figured out what you want to be there, is that it?
We don't have a landscape architect on the team yet. We're in negotiation with the one who actually did this work 15 years ago. And we intend to create those drawings.
Yeah.
We just weren't planning on having them ready at this time for this approval.
So we could just put in a time waiver for a separate submission? So, if the board wishes, that's pretty basic.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could put in a condition that the landscaping, includes, have to be
Yeah.
submitted to the board before any landscape work is being done. I think the other thing in this one is that most of the time when you're talking about landscape work, you're talking about the public view of a site. This is so far set back that
It's,
You're not gonna see it.
it's been well-maintained for years, so I'm not looking I don't think it's an issue or a concern, so, but just for the expediency, yeah, if you don't have somebody on board, and we're not gonna be planting in the next couple of months anyway, obviously. So I think that could just be submitted at a later date, and just put like you said, just put a condition on it in there, we'll separately approve that or something.
Let me suggest, in the actual permit that we're looking to modify, a section says, in section 22, the board retains the right to review the proposed landscape and grant construction regarding streets and tree locations. Board may require additional plantings at that time, something like that works fine.
Yeah. That sound good, Jim?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not really too worried about that, it's more the construction and the disturbance and the site work, that's the meat of the project here.
I was, there's a couple items in my list, I think, I'd like to discuss and talk through with the board.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just so, I guess, like, number 2, I think we should have a summary, let's say, of the required existing proposed site values. I mean, that's something that, we have to understand, so that, if we're making anything, any conditions worse or better, or hopefully everything will be, improvement or equal to what they have out there now for setbacks and other, ratios. Number 5 is the one I think I had the, issue with, and maybe if we can show it on this plan, so the board understands the situation. That should. Yeah. So. If I could just comment on the first one. The proposed includes this existing entrance area, and they're proposing a circular drive around here as designed, I think there's too many variations and turning motions in there and everything, and there should be more constrained and more signage to properly direct traffic at this point.
How many cars a day up there? Does anybody know?
Well,
It's light,
100, 200?
Well, you got 94 units?
94 units.
Okay, and then probably do 4 trips a day?
How many?
4 trips a day?
That's a lot.
Uh,
Maybe
You don't get up at all?
They don't drive.
Why,
Yeah, some
why
of them
drive?
do,
It's a
yeah.
beautiful place. Everything you need there.
No, we usually use about, what is it, 8 trips a day in
Yeah,
the
but that's with an
subdivision,
active
so I
family,
cut it
not
in
a,
half.
not a retired, yeah, community.
So, actually, in response to that, what we're proposing is,
200 then.
as you come in, is to direct everybody around the loop.
Oh, okay.
So, there'd be an opportunity for many trips here with for the auditorium. So what we're allowing is they can come here and then circle back and come out, so they don't have to drive under the canopy. But if you're going in here to drop somebody at the canopy, you're just coming around the loop this way now.
Oh, okay.
It's simple, so, basically it creates, an alternate method, alternate way to travel out versus going underneath the canopy. It just, for people who want to go directly in and under the canopy to drop off, they just have to make a slight loop around it.
So your classic New England Rotary,
Yeah.
basically.
So you got stop signs and everything?
Yeah, well, we're gonna add right turn only, do not enter.
So it's all gonna be all one way?
All one way is.
All one way.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
That basically. is.
right, all
Okay.
one way.
Good catch on that, okay.
And then, I think, and they're probably working on the, like 13, they need additional sewer, water details. 16 was the one.
All right, you understand what we passed on in the beginning, okay? You gotta go to Groveland Water and Sewer as well at this point. Eventually, they're gonna be doing everything. Not our they're gonna be the pure engineer,
Okay.
okay?
For water and sewer, they used to be decades
Yeah.
ago. They had an
I
in-house
mean,
guy.
we have had 2 accidents with, well, literally 3, the most recent one, with the sewers not lining up. So it's like, that's why they wanted to come back into the fray. They wanna do it. Initially, they used to do it because one of the members of the Water and Sewer Board was a PE. He did it. But, once he left the town, and it fell to the planning board, and the planning board's review engineers at that point. But they wanna take it back.
So in the department or at the commission? The water and sewer department?
Yes,
Department.
yeah,
Excuse me, that could be in addition to the peer review that we have now?
yeah. But it's, right now, he's done some work, but you really should pick up with water and sewer,
Okay.
okay? It's more advantageous, I mean, like I'm saying, they're catching things, all right?
Yeah, is that something?
And I think Peter even agreed with us,
Oh, I do. A lot of
that's
times,
where it ought to be in the first place.
Yeah, we did it for years that way, so.
They're just more familiar with their requirements, which are changing all the time, and the
Mhm.
whole layout of the town.
So just submit a set of drawings, I guess, too.
Okay, so would it, I could.
To water and sewer.
set up
It's
a
Tom,
meeting.
it's Tom Cusick, he's the,
He's
manager
full-time,
of
right?
the water and sewer
Yeah.
department.
as far as I know.
So you can just, call him up and,
Okay.
be happy to see you, that's all.
Yeah, I'll just set the meet, bring a set of
Okay.
plans, just review the project.
Yep.
And then run through.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, great.
What was the other one, too?
They will, maybe I can confirm that, they will be needing an additional external grease trap. I believe under the Board of Health regulations, that will be required.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, we have, there was one, that was constructed, with the original project for the kitchen. We were hoping we could connect to it. Unfortunately, we cannot, it required digging up the kitchen. So we have provided the new, tavern areas in this kitchen we'll be running a sewer out to a grease trap out here, and we realize we can make that, so.
Okay,
Yep.
My next comment was on the landscaping, but.
okay,
that's
so that one, yeah.
The other thing was test pit information and the proposed detention infiltration area, or the infiltration area. How do you propose to address that?
We do have extensive boring information, we're hoping to utilize that, sometimes that's a little unclear regarding groundwater.
Yeah,
There is extensive test pit, data from the original design.
Right.
Up around the hill.
who did that? Was that Nico did that?
That was, the borings was done by, who did that for? GSI did the test boring, but you can't see the modeling.
Right,
They
yeah.
would just be looking at saturated soils and such to try and determine seasonal high or groundwater. The Fort Engineering, when they did their work, there was, the standard deep holes with modeling.
Yeah,
The modeling of it, and I was hoping that, I'm trying to research the data and reuse, use their data, it was a certified soil evaluator. So if there is a test pit in the location we're looking to do that, we'd like to do that, utilize that. If not, I guess we'd have to do a test pit in the area if there's nothing close by.
is that okay with you?
We'll have to see what they find.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we need some clarification on how.
yeah, no, I agree.
And then my last, I guess, number 30, information on, hydro flowing, or, ensure that this facility will have a fire protection system, and they'll have to confirm that they have adequate pressure.
So when the facility was built, it was prior to the full continuation of the water line on the property, so we did install a sprinkler pump. So there is a fire pump in the building now that supplies for the suppression system. So we were gonna be doing some tests on flow to confirm whether or not that was even necessary.
Now, do you do that?
The water tank has been constructed since.
Yeah, okay, so it's
Is
just
the fire pump
pressure.
big enough to handle the addition?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So is the fire department doing that testing, or is that
Well,
water sewer and
That's water
conjunction?
and sewer.
Is it?
Yeah,
Do you need to bring the fire chief in on this stuff?
yeah.
Well, they will review it during the building.
Yeah, that's what he generally says, so.
Well, I mean,
Just a recommendation the day you do the test?
Well,
Just-
they should provide the data, give us a proposed method to assure that the building will have the required fire protection.
I mean, just get, he's gonna have to sign off anyway, might as well, the fire chief.
That would be in the building plans, wouldn't it? More than,
I know
our plans?
It's probably better to catch everything in the beginning rather than at the end.
Yeah,
If
I
it
mean,
need
but
be,
they have to go by the building code,
Yeah, I understand that.
so everything would be more in the building. I mean, in the,
Well, see, that's where the fire chief has always come in at the end.
yeah,
And it's like,
but I mean,
is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sometimes it's,
He's part of the review under subdivision control,
Yeah.
under special permit, that he had to sign off anyway. I mean, I don't think that's a big deal that whatever day they're testing or send them the data and
one
get
of
a
the things we
signature.
may have to look at is, instead of getting 7 sets of plans, we may have to end up with 9 sets of plans, because, quite frankly, when I start distributing these things, I'm always short.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, I let somebody look at ours and go down to 0.
Vanishes, huh?
So,
Imagine that.
it's,
Okay,
And-
so,
And there was one other, I guess we probably could talk about this now, I had a recommendation, and where the back road comes out, is it on Wood Street, I believe, that the emergency entrance? Seems that people are cutting across the neighbor's property to get around the gate there.
really?
Well, when I went up to the site and I drove down to the end, I saw the gate, and then I look over and there's trees on the side, and the guy had wrapped, yellow warning tape across there. And
so,
it kind of looks like people got there and said, I don't want to drive all the way back up the hill and down around and just cut over.
well, we heard there was one resident down at the end of Wood Street at one point. He actually cut the lock off, I believe, of the gate, and he was going in and out that way, but
I guess if the neighbor's
I-
not
my
complaining.
last time
if
when
the
I
neighbor's
went-
not complaining.
Yeah,
no
one's,
My
haven't heard
last
any
trip
complaints.
down there was
Yeah.
locked,
Yeah, it was
So,
locked,
yeah.
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 I-
So,
all right.
Okay, yeah, Bobby, you haven't heard anything on that, have
No,
you?
no.
And you
And,
guys
you
haven't heard
know,
anything?
I think I can see.
I'm sure you have your own security detail up there, right?
I can see Tom from the water department in the hallway. Yeah, I can see it. Here he is.
Yeah, there he
I
is
can
right
see
now.
him.
Yeah.
So, you can always get your card, and meet with him.
Tom, we're discussing Nichols Village right now, and, we're talking about, certain things relative to, the water department as well at this point. If you guys wanna just hit them with a couple of things right now, go ahead.
Well, the best thing is to come into a board meeting and we can talk about that.
There you go.
I mean, that's really that's what the protocol should be,
Mm-hmm.
is they're gonna come in here, talk about that, and then come into a board meeting.
Well, can they talk to you in between board meetings, or what?
Yeah, if you have general discussion about, what project, yeah, we can.
Really, as far as the water work, we're moving, currently it loops around the back of the building, we're extending the building back, so we're maintaining the loop and just looping it further around, so just to give the loop and adding, teeing off and adding the loop, continuing the same loop. So there's no connection down on 113, it's just work up the building. I think what we're looking at is we may need a flow test just to confirm pressure.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think that's
You
really.
got sewer, you're extending sewer also?
It's just internal.
Right. So, I mean, anything like that, we're still gonna have to, have a peer review on all plans, obviously, and go through that process.
So a peer review for,
For the infrastructure that's going in, just like it went in originally.
so we currently have DCA doing a peer review for the planning board, you have your own peer review agent also?
We do, and we have a fee schedule for that also. So, if you go on to, contact me, I can get you all that information.
Okay.
So there's a preliminary plan review, I think the fee's $100, and the definitive plan review is $500. Then it goes up from there. It's some old language dated back to like '89, but, that would be the process. And you have to come into a meeting with us.
When's the next meeting?
The 9th, 8th? I can give you my contact information.
Okay. What else you got? That's it?
Well, a lot of them are just additional information. we have
Right.
to straighten out a few things.
Okay. So we're gonna continue to what, the 23rd? We figured that out? So motion to continue to 23rd, do you have a question?
Do you want to hear about the?
We haven't done the
Oh,
presentation.
there-
Haven't done
Sorry,
presentation
sorry.
or anything, yeah.
Jumping the gun on
Oh,
that one.
We've heard from the engineering side.
Yeah.
And there's a discussion we just had talked to and address the issues on the stormwater management and.
Landfills.
Yeah, it's all pretty straightforward.
So,
Yep.
so that discussion is closed for now, I guess.
Yes.
So it'll be worked out between the.
That'd be between you and something. Why don't you talk about the overview of the project, what we're doing?
Okay, well, my name's Alan Crapo, I'm with EGA Architects in Newburyport. We were the architects for the original project 15 years ago. The property, 1 Nichols Way, is actually off of Main Street, Groveland, shown here, and it also borders on Wood Street in Groveland. And currently, there are 94 units within Nichols Village, and we are here to propose a 21-unit addition to get up to 115 total. Currently, if you look at the site plan, you can see Nichols Way, Clara Court, and then here is the building now on top of the hill. The very top of the hill is behind the building here. The addition would be behind Nichols Village. If you're looking at it from Main Street, it's going closer to the top of the hill, and it's actually getting very close to straddling the top of the hill. all of the addition is here, and it's about 52,000 square feet, including a little over 8,000 square feet for covered parking. It's an open-air covered parking garage, extending off the existing open-air covered parking.
All the trees in the back there towards Wood Street, they're all gonna remain around the road?
So around the outside of
Yes,
the road, yes,
yes.
that's correct.
Okay.
So the clearing will take place to the extent of the new road and the grading that needs to occur for that.
Mhm.
If you look at the design, we're actually pulling the road back in around this area because there's a stand of existing evergreen trees right along this line, and we intend to not interfere with those.
Okay,
So that'll help with the buffer to that immediate neighbor
Okay.
to the south.
all right.
This is an overall floor plan that shows, here's the existing building, Main Street's to the top of the page, Wood Street's to the bottom. The the existing building is 3 levels. The lowest level is benched into grade and is only seen from the Main Street side. As you come around the property to the main entrance, you're actually in the middle level of the building as you enter the front door. All of this area in the existing building is all of the commons. It has the library, the dining rooms, the administration, the cafe, the kitchen. And down here, at this end of this wing, is currently the existing pool that's inside the building here, in a 1-story building that connects off of the existing covered parking. What we intend to do is connect through the existing pool and include a new casual dining element, connecting to a new kitchen area on this side, and then bring the corridor along the side of the existing parking, extend the existing parking into this brown area, and then this here would be the addition. This green area on the front, facing the front drop-off area, is the new wellness facility. As Mr. Sheehan mentioned, it will include a new pool. It'll be of larger size for more use. It'll also eliminate the lift system to provide a ramp so that the aging individuals have a better access to the pool. It will also have an aerobics room. It'll have a gym equipment room. And it'll have lockers. Also, on this level will be a smaller auditorium. And that auditorium will make use of the fact that we really don't have a great space within the facility now for all of the residents to gather. So this room will suffice for that function.
How many?
Well, we're hoping to 150, 160 occupants. At level floor,
Yep.
so that it can be also multifunctional. But it's predominantly going to be an auditorium.
Yep.
As a 2-story space. This blue, which is shown on this side, are all the apartments. So there'll be 21 additional apartments. At the end, with the additional covered parking, there'll also be some service area, because we do need to have all the new utility services for the addition. As you step up the hill, you go 1 level up, we're tying into the top level of the building, which is the upper floor level here. We're also connecting through an existing corridor that we had built in originally, and coming off of that existing corridor out here into this portion of the building. Most of the building facing the front drop-off is 1.5 to 2 stories, so it's larger cathedral ceiling spaces for the larger functions such as a pool, an aerobics room, et cetera, and the auditorium. And then as you see along this side, that's all of the apartments as well. Here are some elevations which show that the building will match the existing materials and character that's found at Nichols Village currently, while incorporating all of the new functions. That's it, quick. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
Are they 1-bedroom or
Been there.
2-bedroom apartments?
It's a mix. So currently, Nichols Village has inside the congregate building, so the apartments, there's 1 bedrooms, 1 bedroom plus dens, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bedroom plus dens. So what we're adding is a mix of 1 bedrooms, 1 bedroom plus dens, and 2 bedrooms. So we found a need for those particular types of apartments. Those are the biggest draw.
Didn't you, when you first came to, you were gonna add some villas again too, eventually?
That's up to the client. Right now, there's no plans for adding.
Okay,
more.
I heard you might do it eventually, I just,
So, yeah, so originally, I guess 2001, when we went through this process 16 years ago, we did do a max build-out plan for the town to show the possible expansion that could take place. And what that showed was building all up on top of the hill here, maximizing another set of cottages here, and then other cottages here. At this time, there was no plans to do any of that work.
So what was the max number that we gave to you in that original?
So the plan that we submitted on May 18th, 2001, had a max build of 214 units,
Okay, but the special permit was issued for how many?
for 94, which is exactly what's there now. So the 94 plus we're proposing 21 will get us to 115.
So that was the number that we gave in the original special?
That's right.
Yes.
Just 115?
Nope.
No, 94.
94, so we're going up to 115, but the max build-out was
214.
214.
But we did not request the 214, that was just for request.
For the
of planning
regulation,
board
right.
To understand the possible fulfillment of construction here someday.
What will the infrastructure that you're planning to put in now, with increased improvements, what will that provide? Could you get additional units in there beyond the 115?
Well, the addition right now is the services being connected to the addition or for the addition. There's no expansion beyond that at this point.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Let's say there's a need that comes up in the next 5 years for another 25 units. Will the infrastructure that you're putting in be able to, without doing another major overhaul, would it be able to sustain it? Water,
Yeah.
sewer,
Water, sewer.
Well, yeah,
yes.
water.
water and sewer, so
Yeah,
you,
yeah, hence we've moved the water around, and the roadway loops around in that manner, so the addition can fit within that loop.
Yeah.
That takes into consideration the expansion.
So water, sewer, site lighting, all of
Right.
that being done now, so that we don't have to do it again. That's the
Sure.
very big ticket
Right.
item as far as this work goes. As far as the building itself, and then, the utility connections to the building, no. That's not being sized now as part A of a future phase. This is it on the board right now.
okay. What I'm trying to look, since we're planning, we plan way ahead, and knowing the aging population in town of Groveland, and it's a beautiful place, and people like to stay here, and all that, and we're seeing through Whitestone as well, there's a big need for the senior housing. So if a need came up, what would be required if you had to add 25 to 30 units in there? Where would they go? And would that come under the auspices of an additional mod, is where I was going at with this?
As an additional mod.
Modification to the special
Well,
permit.
I think that's in the discretion of the board.
Hmm.
However, interestingly enough, one of the reasons for the addition is because the mortgage has just been paid off. So now we don't have a mortgage on the property. We will have a mortgage on the property, and that'll be probably over another 15 or 20-year payout.
Right.
There's no other source of income other than what we receive from rent.
Mhm.
We did, his board, will make that decision 15 years from now, probably. I don't think it's gonna happen in the next 5 or even the next 10 perhaps. But I understand your question. The question is, if it happens and when it happens, is the infrastructure of the utilities, is the capacity there to take it?
Yeah,
And I think the answers have been yes.
Yeah.
okay.
In particular, the stormwater was substantially over-designed.
Yeah,
In research of the stormwater calculations, we're still not at the impervious area of what was as part of the original calculation.
Right, and this is, that's what we did the best then with the whole team, was you max build this thing out, so that it becomes easier in the project. But I do see a need for the senior housing a lot quicker than 15 years. So, coming on the tracks, the way that we're doing the housing right now, and that's coming through the town, we're gonna be running out of the stuff like this on the senior housing element as the population ages. So I was just thinking, in a 5-year from now, we're probably gonna start needing that. And just where would that go, though? Just if you were to put a dart on that board, where would you put additional
Within the loop.
within the loop up to the back?
So, I mean, to that end, we're not designing this building so we can't connect, right?
Yeah.
The layout of this building is such in a way that we can expand off of it in the
Okay.
future. The same way when we did this original building, we did allow ourselves the ability. The one, negative we had on the original was the loop road was tight to the building.
Yeah.
So any addition, we knew we were gonna have to modify the loop road.
Okay.
But now we're keeping the loop road further away, so we are giving ourselves that area.
So how many could you fit in there?
That's never been calculated.
Was it 21? On the other side.
Honestly, we've never done the calculation,
Yeah.
never done a layout. We've shown, locations of wings, looking at the size of the building sections, looking at the length of wings that we can do, but we've never done an actual count.
So here's, my personal thought, the board can, we can kind of hum this thing around. I'm only asking that question because if we're doing a mod for the special permit, and this need comes up in 5 years, and something happens, and the stock market is taken off and all that, and an opportunity presents itself, on that, how many units would you be looking at in there, and would you put it into the special permit, or at least on the skeleton, so that everything could be filled in later? And which, you wouldn't be doing much on the engineering side, but I think if the board is gonna be looking at this as an amendment, and we have a superstructure built there and some other things, and you'd say, yeah, based on this, we think we can get 20, we can get 30, whatever that future, whenever it happens, design is, might be something the board would like to discuss to see if they wanted to put it into the framework, into the amendment now.
Suggesting leaving some additional approved units so far.
Right.
Without the need to modify it.
Yeah, or in other words, a max build-out in that loop, not necessarily all the way down, would be 25 unit. I don't know what fits in there, I have no idea. But just like a framework, and then also to keep the engineering design in the same, because I think a need's gonna come up in this town really quickly. Looking at the data we have, 5 to 10 years, and they may be coming to you, So I would just figured if in the board, we can discuss this isn't, you can bat it around, this isn't a requirement at all.
Sort of left yourself some leeway in that, in the first permit.
Right,
It says, any proposed change or modifications to the plan shall be directed to the planning board. As to the significance of the change or modification, and the planning board shall then determine whether or not a new public hearing is required.
no, I'm familiar with
So
that
this-
language, right.
So this time, we're here because it's designed. Maybe next time, you might say, we don't need to have a public hearing because we discussed potential expansion. I don't know, I'm not concerned about coming to a public hearing.
Right,
So I think we have to come to it no matter what, I would think, before anybody invests in this another
Right.
X number of $1 million. They're not gonna do it without coming to this planning board to show you the plan.
well, that wasn't my intent. My intent was to just start the gears going to see what, on just, if you did a calculation, how many could you get in there? And what could that house? And so the board would know, what, if
A lot
Nicholas
of
thinks
it becomes financial anyhow, Wally.
Yeah.
Right.
Because for the simple reason, it's not just 21 units they're building. They're going with an auditorium, a much larger pool, and a dining area,
Not the
and
new
a
dining
few other
area.
things. So, right now, if you looked at the dollar amount, okay, you might be doing more units on the other side rather than putting in additional whatevers.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
It might be more relative
We
to the
did-
dollar
We
amount.
did analysis to get to 23
Mhm.
in many different ways, and we have the engineer, we have the contractor and the estimator here. We looked at 7 or 8 different additional units, we looked at more than 23, we looked at something in between, and up to 30, for example.
Right,
And what drove the number was the finance. You can't do all of those things and improve it, put an additional gym, and
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
if you don't have that many new units. So
Yeah.
it was driven exactly by finances, and I think in the future, whatever happens will be driven by finance and the economics of the time. And
Yep.
the board of directors of the time.
Mhm.
Dick will probably not be a member of that board next time.
Kicking you out.
You're worrying me now too, you know. He was a selectman when I joined the planning board, so.
But someone will be here showing another proposal, and you'll have a chance to, review it, we hope you do.
Yeah, that was more like a gee whiz question, like, I'm seeing that land, with what you have in here, you could probably put 50 units in there. And I just would like to know for the future housing of Groveland down the road, that there is potential in that loop of what could it hold? Because believe it or not, if we have a need for it, maybe the town comes to you at some point, or some other agency that says, we have a
You
need.
guys can provide the financing.
And maybe they will,
Yeah,
that's the point. But I don't wanna tell them 50 units and we can only put 10. You know, so that's all, it was more of a gee whiz question, it wasn't meant for anything
I'm not
else.
sure we have a unanimous answer, but we can banter around, and you people can banter around.
Yeah. That's all. Thank you very much, appreciate
Okay.
it.
Okay, next. Any
How
more?
how many acres is that, Al?
So,
No, the whole thing.
94 acres.
Oh, 94? I was just curious, yeah.
Yeah. All right, does the board have any more questions? The audience have any questions?
Now we
Seeing
can-
none?
Now we can do the motion to continue?
Yeah.
Jump right into
So the motion, yeah, motion to continue.
23rd.
To
23rd.
23rd.
To, yeah, 1, 2, 3.
The engineers enough time to answer all the questions on the peer review.
Mhm.
I've heard the water department saying they would like to put this on their meeting schedule for the 8th or 9th of the month. And I would think by 2 weeks after that, the water department would have the comments to you.
Okay.
Well, the water department will be looking at the comments internally,
But I think we're looking for some recommendations from the water department or some guidance. Are you?
Well, they can all come in at once later, you know, it's,
They're gonna have to come back in with
What do you
whatever they
want?
recommend, because we have to put it into the memorandum anyway, so, in the decision, so either way, everybody's communicating.
I mean, you got some work to do on some of the parts of this as it is now, okay? So by the 23rd, and water may have a few more, that's all, all right?
Let me ask you this, are you gonna continue both, or do you wanna continue just the Nichols Village structure? Because to the extent we get the, land disturbance and groundwater management, it might allow us with that permit to begin planning to do some of that work prior to the construction of the building.
Well, some of the comments from GZA concern that, so we have to continue both right now, but we should be able to close out the land disturbance at that next meeting, I would assume.
That'd be helpful.
Mhm. They're two separate anyway.
That's two
Yeah.
separate, one's a modification, one's a new permit.
Right, right. So it'll be two things you're gonna be writing there. Yeah,
Okay, good.
okay. All right,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, have a nice New Year.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
So,
What do we,
Again, there we go.
are we gonna sneak in? We're gonna sneak in which
continuing
street
that
or
one?
we're
Hang in
gonna
there,
do that
Dick.
what are we doing with that one? Hold it here.
Yeah, great, thank you.
These are,
Yes, you too.
do you get one of these, the changes to the subdivision rules and regs?
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Did you issue a new version online?
We gotta get them into the version online. One of the problems is the look at the last one, it's, the cul-de-sac, okay, the detail. What I gotta do is I gotta get that on one piece of paper, it's a fold out. I'm gonna get it one. All right, so
You know,
it
Tracy-
might be a little hold up on it. Okay, all right.
Are we doing Atwood or are we doing?
Are we
Okay.
doing that one? Okay.
Yes, so where are we with this one?
It's, oh, I can't read it. I have my glasses on.
That's a
I'm
problem, but
magnifying
I can read it.
You know,
Oh,
just got to the point.
Have you got
I just-
comments for Atwood?
He was saying.
Yeah, do we have those here?
He was saying.
Did it out, all the way,
Yeah.
All right.
Put that in. You could take, what is it, I forget, these little stupid.
You guys ready?
Yep,
You can line them up in his little box.
right.
You can get.
Motion open Atwood, continued hearing?
Did you see these things? I printed them out.
Get a second on that?
Where's your glasses? Yeah.
It's the dark thing. There's 17 of them.
But I can read that.
17, what did you add more to, add more after this one? It was 14
It
on
was
here.
31,
That's
it went down to
comments.
17.
There's four,
And I think he wa-
there's
I
only
think-
14 on
I
it.
think he wants 400 waivers.
Yeah.
14.
So there's your
Just
answer to the
14.
17. Oh, by the way, we changed the subdivision rules and regulations, so you can't do it.
Okay, so we get a motion to open or continue? Open to continue? There we go.
Okay, slow down there, Iowa. I'm writing. Okay, a motion and a second.
Wally made the motion.
Okay, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye, unanimous. All right,
So you guys submitted, we're on a continued, we got the engineering review. Flavor, Jim, you want the review? the
well, yeah,
Back and forth?
the 17 comments here that we gotta go through at this point, okay? Phil Henry, our engineer, is here, as well as Phil Christensen and Mike Sergi, so.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you agreed to all 17, is that it?
I think we have one left, right? We have one issue left. Regarding the,
They did agree?
Well, I think most of the comments, I think, ultimately rest with the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it might be worth going through this. I mean, this has been an iterative
Well,
procedure, and we've gotten
I
it
want to,
down.
yeah.
But I think it probably makes sense just to have an open discussion with the board to see what the pleasure of the board is. Because some of them are not technical, they rise above that, there may be waivers or something that's outside the necessary rules or regs. It could be industry standard, it could be preference, so, I'm happy to defer to Phil and the board to how you want to go through it.
Well, we can start, I mean, what have you got, Phil, first?
well, I think, just so you're aware of it, we did meet with the water commissioners,
Mm-hmm.
a week ago Monday, and they've asked us to loop the water line.
Yes.
Sure.
So we now have a loop water line that comes here. The original request was to loop it out to Murray Avenue.
Yeah.
But we don't have any rights there. That's not an accepted road by the town.
Gore, nobody owns it.
So we decided that we'd come out here. So we have a loop coming through here.
Okay.
Water line comes up, comes across, it comes down. So that, and we talked with Tom this evening on the hallway down in, we did, cover those bases. I think, a major, if there is a major issue, it's regarding stormwater. And if you look in there, I don't know what number comment it is, you might know, but, we have a disagreement on compliance with stormwater management. Now, your rules refer to state stormwater management standards. my position is the state stormwater management standards are under the Wetlands Protection Act. And if you're discharging within 100 feet of a wetland, or you're doing work near a wetland, or discharging into a wetland, then the stormwater management regulations as developed by DEP apply. And, in this case, we don't have any wetlands, and we're not discharging into any wetlands. So the stormwater regulations which were adopted under the Wetlands Protection Act don't apply to a subdivision. Doesn't have to file with conservation. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't met everything. You can refer to Phil on this, but, you know, everything from the site is infiltrated into the ground. We don't have any runoff. We haven't increased any flow off-site. The only flow that goes off-site is this undisturbed area over here, and there's no increase in flow. And we are infiltrating stormwater, so we don't have any dirty water, if you want to say, leaving the site. And we don't have any increase in flow on the site. So we meet the intent of the stormwater standards, but we haven't filled out the forms that are required, because I don't think it's appropriate to do that when the regulations, in my opinion, don't allow it. I want to talk with the consultant about it.
Okay.
Well, I think Phil is drawing a connection between the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook or Stormwater Regs and doing work within 100 foot of the buffer. And we just have not applied it that way when we're actually doing the design and when municipalities hold us to that standard. So, it's an interesting take, and I don't necessarily totally disagree with it. I understand the spirit of his comment. It's, if you look in the handbook, there are certain levels of compliance that is required. And it's actually right in the handbook that says if you're disturbing, you know, less than, I think, or if you're proposing less than 4 units, you don't have to comply. If you're proposing 5 to 9 units, or if you're doing some other work in conjunction with something else, you have to demonstrate compliance to the maximum extent practical. And I think that's where they fall in my opinion. And that comment, if you wanna look, does everyone have comment letter 4 dated December 7th?
Yeah.
It's on page, well, it's not numbered, but, comment number 2 under stormwater, it's the second, 4 pages from the back. Comment number 2. I mean, there was some back and forth between CSI and us. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's highlighted, depending on if you printed it out black or white, it's either gray or yellow. I basically say CDG understands CSI's position and the reference regulations. First section 4.4.1.1 of the Groveland subdivision regs. The planning board requires that drainage systems for all subdivisions meet all requirements of the Massachusetts Stormwater Policy Act, which include volume 1 and volume 2 of the Stormwater Handbook. As such, it appears that the local requirement requires compliance of applicable regulations, therefore the original comment remains. However, it should be noted that our office is requesting that compliance be demonstrated with the stormwater report and is not suggesting that compliance is not met. So, I guess my ultimate opinion is, I think it's in the protection of the applicant and the town to show compliance where compliance is required. I'm not suggesting that it's not met. I think it's for their benefit, and I think it's for the town's benefit to show compliance.
And showing compliance through conservation, or?
No, so
No,
there
no.
are 10 standards, right, with the Stormwater Policy Act. And most of them would not apply, but there are some that do apply, particularly groundwater recharge and water quality. And I think that should be the focus, just to make sure that those standards are met.
I think we actually done that in every subdivision review, but.
My opinion is that you shouldn't apply rules and regulations that aren't applicable to the rules and regulations you enforce. You enforce subdivision control regulations, and you to take into account zoning regulations. And the stormwater standards as adopted by DEP are adopted under the Wetlands Protection Act, not under the subdivision control law. So therefore, they don't apply directly to the project unless we would discharge it to a wetland, then we'd have to comply with it. So that's all I'm saying.
I think
And
the planning board adopted
I think Phil will
those.
agree with me that, in fact, we do comply, but we don't have the paperwork to show us we do.
I mean, I agree in the sense that, as engineers, we don't wanna adhere to any of non-applicable regulations. I think the nexus that Phil is drawing here is, you should only apply if you're within 100 feet of a wetland. And I am not making that connection.
Okay, so I believe the planning board adopted the stormwater, regulations years ago. So when they first came out, as a matter of fact, I remember we had kind of a big hearing on that. So to comply with that,
Well,
what would you have to do?
Well, when the stormwater regs came out, I worked with some of the groups that developed some of the regulations and attended a number of the hearings. And one of the things was, and not to say you couldn't adopt it as part of your rules, but as one of the attorneys for the state, Madeline, forget her last name, explained during the public hearings for it, you only have to comply with stormwater regulations if you're discharging in a wetland or if you're discharging within 100 feet of a wetland. That was the criteria. Okay? So the state was basically saying, look, this applies to wetlands. The Wetlands Act under which it was developed. And we were told that those public hearings, that's where it should apply. So when you say your regulations included, that's fine, and it's applicable to your regulations, but the first part of it is the work within the jurisdiction of that act, and it's not.
What would be necessary to comply? What do you have to do?
You gotta write a report.
So write a report.
So write a little report.
Yeah, okay.
Basically,
Well, it's just, I made my point.
Well, you write the
Okay.
report,
So write
that's
the report.
what you think it is, and you
Alright.
don't have to. That's
Well,
what
I
you
did.
do.
And my intention is not to create unnecessary paperwork. and having to have to pay- I think ultimately what we all guard against is an appeal, or someone down the line after this is approved saying this was not
Yeah,
adequately approved, and that's, whether I'm a peer reviewer or design engineer, that's what I guard against. So again, I don't mean to create unnecessary paperwork, that's my main goal. is
All right.
just,
so moving on,
So I will provide the paperwork then.
Yeah,
E-
that's all.
easy fix. Okay, what's the next big
Real
one?
simple then. Okay, here's my report. We don't think,
Just-
all right,
It's nice
but,
to keep things
yeah.
worded the way they should be done.
but, it's just, my feeling is that all that sand up there is probably gonna absorb just about anything.
It does.
What
Yeah.
the site has going for them.
The only,
there's
the
a
only
lot of
worry I
natural
have is
vegetation.
anything getting
Yeah.
out in the street coming down that road.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I worry about.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, all right, so, okay, what's the next big
Just
hurdle?
make sure you got it going this way before it hits
I
Center
don't know if
Street.
there's a big hurdle, there's a couple other items. One was, Phil's suggestion that since we're not having sidewalks in the subdivision, that the cross-section of the roadway be changed from 3/8 of an inch per foot to 1/4 inch per foot, because people would be walking on the roadway. He suggested that, I didn't think it was necessary, but that's up to the board to say, we'd like to see that or not.
And we're not doing a sidewalk on one side for what reason? Can we just change the word on that?
because there's no, it doesn't need
Goes
anything, there's
nowhere.
nothing on Center
So
Street.
what's the offsite improvement for the expense for that?
The offside improvements, though, we're improving the entire street here.
Yeah.
We want this in our county.
Thought we kinda trapped that one on the sidewalks in a sense,
Yeah.
and that we said change to sidewalk on one side of the street only in a subdivision of 10 or less single-family homes. And then subdivisions of 11 or more single-family homes would need to have sidewalks on both sides of
Yeah,
the
but
street.
it doesn't go anywhere, there's nothing on Center
There's
Street.
We
nothing on the
discussed.
You would just
during
loop
the
your
zoning
own
plan, there
loop.
wouldn't be any
Yeah,
sidewalk.
you're doing country drainage.
Yeah, it's the only problem, again, same problem in there, there's no place for, the only place
Oh,
people are
what
gonna
Phil's
go are in the
saying
street.
is that
can
if
put
you
these on
change
the
the crossover
plan.
of the street so that it's accessible, then it doesn't matter.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Geez, you can put those on the plan. You see them? That was one of the
Yeah.
comments. Okay, that was comment number 4, table of dimensional requirements. Can do it. If Holt can do it, you guys can do it.
I think it's there.
Where?
It's there now. It's
You have the table?
That's how they're doing that?
That's literally what that information is.
What's the question?
Number 4, they're saying on the plan, the first page of the plan, Phil.
What number?
I had a hard time reading this. I had to put my reading glasses on.
Your comment number 4.
And I also had a magnifying
The
glass, and I
dimensional
still couldn't
requirements.
read it.
It's too small.
Huh?
You gotta print
I
it
know,
out.
why don't you just give us a new, bigger plan, and then we can look at it? Huh?
Okay, so number 4, actually.
Yeah, I did.
Here's the viewing audience, can you read it?
I couldn't read it.
No, I can't read it at all. Anyhow,
Do you wanna go through the highlighted comments?
yes, yeah, I would rather do that, so,
So number 4, I'll start with number 4 because it references number 1, the first highlighted comment.
yep.
We agree that the table is on there. However, we note that as reference, if you go to page 1,
Mm-hmm.
we say CSI does not provide a written response for the table. And then we say the plans have been updated to reflect the R2 zoning table. However, the zoning summary doesn't include all bulk dimensionals as referenced in the zoning, and the max lot coverage is depicted as 30%, where it appears that the zoning bylaw indicates 25%. So then CSI responded saying that the plans have been modified as requested. It should be noted that requirements such as maximum lot coverage and maximum impervious cannot be properly assessed until a site plan and building plans are submitted for building permit. The houses and drives shown on the definitive plans are for representation of what could be built on a lot, and not what finally is built on a lot. So we're saying that, yes, they show the dimensional compliances, with the exception of, we actually think that the max lot coverage is 25 and not 30, and so, but then they're saying that they don't wanna calculate it definitively yet, because it could be subject to change. Is that my understanding? So again, it appears that it's fine, it's just not on, it's not on the plan as a number.
The reason that's our, that we don't want to, do those certain bulk requirements, the houses shown on there are not necessarily the house is gonna be built, nor are the driveways exactly as the driveways are gonna be built.
Yeah.
Well, the driveways have to be known where they are, not,
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
You get a site plan review.
But you get a site plan review, so the house is gonna change where it is on the lot, so it's just a waste of time to calculate what that shows as far as what your lot coverage is. The lot coverage is gonna be on the site plan before you get a building permit. You're gonna have to show that you meet the lot coverage, you
You
meet the
know,
open
we go
space.
through this with the zoning board all the time, and basically, it's, the circle and everything, and I tell them, we'll draw a
Well, that's
block right
all
in the
on there.
circle.
all on
No,
You know?
everything that.
Because
that
you don't get to it until you get to the as-built,
But
well, the as-built,
so.
And
just the
everything in the
as-built.
zoning table that is not going to change,
Mhm.
that is not subject to change, is in that table. But in particular, the lot coverage, it's a waste to calculate it, because those houses, it's just a box.
I mean, you might get a bigger house.
You might
Okay,
get a
what-
bigger house
But
or a
it's still
smaller house.
required.
So what are we
But-
saying, 1 and 4, we'll
Or
wait
they're-
later?
They're set.
Okay, next, okay.
I'm not sure I understood what that issue was, or what the holdup was. If you got the CBA and the circle, then
That's what we
Yeah,
have.
it's on there.
and so the numbers that are on there will just go from that, and if they change, then you submit it on the
Okay,
as-built.
5, we're on 5 now, okay, 5, you got the side frontage, yep, we were all right with that. Okay, so, what's next, 6? The affordable housing, okay,
We already discussed
8
that.
houses, 80,000, give me the money. What you do with this thing is you pay as you go. literally, I think the way, you've got some that the frontage is actually on Center Street, correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, it's still 80,000 for the four. But what the smarter way to pay for it is as you finish a house built, that's when you make the first payment. And
Equal payments.
equal payments until it's finished.
Yeah, you start,
So,
pull the permit, pay half, you close, pay the other half. That's how they've been doing
Per
it,
lot.
yeah,
5,500.
yeah,
For all of them.
yeah. That's the easier way, that it's not a big chunk at once, then.
Next. Where are we on?
Street numbers.
Subdivision comments number 2.
Street numbers. I would say that's fine.
Required additional street numbers. When you say street, you mean is the number of the house?
numbers.
Postal,
Right, the street addresses. The regs say include the address.
Right, you gotta get that from the police department with the 911 system.
Right, but until you get a subdivision approved, you don't really know you have the lot. Usually that function is done after subdivision is approved.
that's what I thought, you know,
I mean, the rules, Phil points out properly, the rules say it's supposed to have the street numbers,
But the
Doesn't
police
make
have, the police have input on this plan. Did they input to you? Okay, did they get a copy of the plans? Did you
We
guys
don't
submit a
have that
letter to
many
the police department for
copies.
numbers?
we did not.
Okay, so just write a letter to your police department, here's a copy, give us house numbers. Done. They respond, they don't, you know, eventually they're gonna have to with the 911 system, so they gotta know that up front because they have to engineer that in.
But if they don't respond, you grant the waiver?
Yeah, if they don't
Okay.
respond, then they don't respond. I imagine they
I
will,
don't
though.
think you need a waiver. I mean,
Yeah,
eventually.
It's in the
gonna get a
regs,
house
It's
yeah.
number.
basically in the regs.
Yeah, if it's in the reg and they don't comply,
Nobody
but
else has
you'll be
done that.
complying by putting the request.
Nobody else has done it.
Yeah.
Nobody else has
You
done
don't
that.
see it on any of the plans.
No, you don't. You don't know it until the end.
You get a separate, nowadays with the 911 system, you have to have that, they have to start putting that in,
But
so.
it's usually, just like the electric company, they will look at a plan until that's approved. And the police department, or fire, whoever issues the, in a particular town, don't like to issue them until you have an approved plan, then they know it's not gonna change. Because we go in with this plan, they give us street numbers, and then the plan changes.
Well, in the
during
preliminary, I would
process.
see that, the definitive, no. So, but,
Or if
okay,
you don't approve it, suppose we're in the process, they give us 8 street numbers, and you deny it, now they've got street numbers,
yeah, but it's a new street,
but it wouldn't be
Yeah.
there if you don't approve
so
it.
it doesn't matter.
We'll write them a letter.
Yeah, just write them a letter, that's it. As a matter of fact, you probably
I ain't worried
include
about it.
police and fire in the same
Um,
thing, so.
I mean, I looked at Homestead and just to find out, you know,
All right, we'll send them.
who was
Let's grab
living
Just send a
where.
letter.
I did, it showed on the as-built, it never showed on the original plans. I know that. In fact. Next, okay, where am I?
Site just
Gotta go back to the previous.
traffic.
Number 8. I'll put up a 25-mile-an-hour sign.
It's said, we're working with, we will be working with highway department to realign the street. And preliminary work I did, we have greater sight distances than, because I sent in a memorandum to them. But since the street isn't finally designed, as the street is now, you don't have as good a sight distance as you do.
So what's the fix for that?
Well,
Can't be worked
I
out.
think, as I mentioned, that the comment is substantially addressed. From a horizontal perspective, it's definitely an improvement, they're taking the curse out of the curve.
Yeah,
My only comment would be that, you know, the board may wanna add a condition of approval that you need to check the third dimension, the vertical, which to make sure that there's proper sight distance. It's not such horizontal. I
Yeah.
can see you, but if there's a hill between us,
Yeah.
I can't see you, so. And that is not done yet, but it's gonna be done at a later date, which seemingly, if everybody works together, it's gonna be better. I'm just noting that it might be worth noting that a condition that that the planning board may wanna check that prior to installation.
So just put a condition on it, and then Bobby's gonna be doing the work, right, on that anyway?
Yeah.
So it'd be the condition based upon the highway department's approval, and then a note condition?
That's a good way to have it.
Okay. What else we got? Where are we?
16,
Streetlights.
about, streetlights.
Okay. What's, Groveland Light want, just one, two? Probably dark up there, so, one in each end?
Put in whatever they want.
Okay, so streetlights to be positioned,
Probably one at the, near the
One at-
entrance,
yeah, that's
'cause
what's
that
thinking,
is dark out there.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
you need one here, but
Yeah.
yeah, but one
When
in,
you
I
get
would
up-
probably put one on
yeah.
either end of,
you need two, you need
Up there.
four.
Well,
so that's,
if you put, going up, put
That
one
just
at the
if it's enough
corner on the
condition.
right. Yeah, a little further up, go all the way up, no, come down, that side, right there.
where are the transformers going?
Right here?
No, no, no,
Well, see,
right,
the
right,
transformer,
right where it
That's what I mean.
tees,
Okay, so the notation,
on the right.
Yeah.
That'll give light for all those houses, kinda like in that area. Then what you do is go a little bit further down
okay,
towards the cul-de-sac,
Jim?
you know, yep.
Groveland Light's gonna tell them where to put it next to the transformers. So what we can put is the notation, the street lighting to be determined by Groveland Light Department, since they install it,
All right.
maintain it,
Yes, yeah.
okay? And they will be of the
Always
dark,
having fun with
the
that.
dark sky type. Just so you know, they got the hat on them.
So the CC, Groveland Light.
Yeah, 'cause you can put them on that plane all day long, and they're not gonna end up there.
No, early on, I used to actually put,
Yeah,
where the handholds were and the transformers. And
yeah,
stuff.
if you actually look in the memorandum, it gives,
Okay.
Give it to the electric
we
department,
kick it
they
over
change
to the
Then
Groveland
the
Light.
contractor starts doing it for my plan and not
But you
for
gotta
my
put-
plan, and you have to-
You gotta put the note on the plan
Next.
to meet the,
Yeah, I believe you.
Okay.
Okay.
Double
All
They're
right.
gonna go on the property lines anyway,
16,
All right, 16,
with that.
the transformers and the.
okay, he wants to go to no sidewalks. I was.
I don't think that he needs a sidewalk, but I do agree that the cross slope should change without the sidewalk. There's really no purpose to having a sidewalk there, it's not gonna go anywhere. You would just have people walking from one end of the street to the other on a sidewalk that goes nowhere, and then they're just gonna walk in the road anyway. But if the roadway is the proper cross slope, then it's fine.
Plus the country drainage.
So we violate our
Right.
own.
that's what I
rule.
mean, yeah. So that was my
Well, he's
question.
asking for a waiver
Yeah,
anyway.
then we'd have to do the
So-
waiver from the complete.
One thing, this is gonna be one of the newer streets with the,
Something
with
for
the
that guy.
infiltration system on it. Onto that, so, just a note, in the deeds and in the memorandum, because this is gonna come up, because we did an experiment on this with Pheasant Lane. Because remember, I don't know if you remember, we put the actual sidewalk in the roadway, we made it 5 feet wider, we painted a line, what do people do? They park cars on it. So, so there will be no sidewalks, but people need to know that, because they all live on the street, that there's no sidewalks, but the road will be accommodating so that they can push their strollers, bikes, and everything in the roadway, and so they all know that. And it was a great experiment, we tried it actually on,
Hillview.
was it Hillview? Yeah,
Yeah.
up there too, and it just didn't work, because, you know, the neighbors sometimes knew it, then they changed hands, and then people didn't even know, and we had,
They're
actually, if you look
parking
down on
there,
Pheasant, there's still
yeah.
a post there where we used to have a little sign. And then, relatives come up and visit, and you push in your stroller and you're right into the back of a Buick. So, that didn't really, it was a great idea, but it just didn't work, so.
So regarding,
I would recommend,
Phil's comment.
I would recommend changing the cross slope
So
to
we
be the
asked,
quarter
we'll ask for a waiver then.
from the sidewalks.
No, a waiver from the
From
cross-section.
cross-section.
Oh, yes.
To get to the quarter. Everybody agree with that?
So what do you got,
You
oh,
agree with that?
you're flattening the road?
Phil suggests flattening the road because you're using it as a sidewalk. So the cross-section instead of the 3/8 of an inch per foot is a quarter inch per foot.
Less of a crown.
Does that take away from the water getting into the country
country
drainage?
drainage, yeah.
It's gonna get.
I
It
like a
still
crown.
Yeah, I would say, I go with.
I'd rather
crown.
see a crown
I'd
than,
rather see a crown.
yes,
Yeah, I would, really.
I'd rather see a crown.
Yeah, because I hate to tell you, with Sunset, you know, you can barely see a crown.
There's no crown there.
I know.
Quarter of a foot is still enough to
There
get
was no
water off
connector
the
either.
side, but.
But there is a
Yeah.
hydrant.
Yeah, I'd rather see a crown.
Yeah, I'd rather see the
There's
crown,
no
yes.
crown up there.
No.
It's
What's
flat
the
as
difference
a
a
board.
quarter inch? Your leg's gonna be shorter?
I got it, I just walk up the left side.
All right, all right, all right.
Walk one way.
All right,
So
What
what
do you
are we
think?
doing?
3/8.
Yeah,
I would
I
stick
mean,
with,
my comment stands, I mean, I think it's always good to provide accessibility where you can, but, you know, I defer to the board.
yep.
So we gotta do the work.
so crown over,
Crown.
Accessibility.
I mean,
Crown.
there's enough,
I hear the
there's enough
board, yeah.
longitudinal pictures
Crown.
of water
Crown
that-
time.
It's crown time, yes.
Crown time.
Crown Royal time.
I can't disagree with them to a point where it's unsafe.
Don't laugh, it's on right now.
What about winter?
You
So-
watch
so-
Oak Island?
So let's think
You just
winter since
started
we're
at
here.
9 o'clock.
So if we have less of a crown, then
You
there
can
might be a
watch
little bit
that
more water on the
series.
roadway,
It's
on that
so-
side.
So good.
Well, I mean, quarter inch foot is
Looking
still,
for treasure.
still slopes.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is that there's just less tolerance for a contractor. So if a quarter inch means that he's gonna build it at an eighth of an inch, then you have an issue.
Right.
Okay,
That's the only, that's my own, that would be my only
So
favorite.
3/8, he
I
builds
go
it closer to a
3/8.
quarter, and
Bobby's gonna have to accept this thing, so what do you want?
he wants a crown.
I like
That's
it.
the crown.
He's a crown man?
Yep.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, it's walking Sunset, okay?
Yeah, but that's not a quarter. I don't know that that's
Sunset's
That
anything.
ain't anything.
That's a whole
the
separate
problem.
animal.
Right, so,
But
alright,
if we
so
get,
we'll
the
go
town's
with
gotta
crown,
accept
that's
this
fine.
thing, you know, we wanna make sure it's working and he's the
You
guy that's
better
gonna
off
sign off.
Get the water off the road is more my thing than anything else, okay? And on a dry day, they can walk down the road.
Well, how big's the rock shoulder on this for the drain? 3 feet, 4 feet wide? How wide is it?
The what shoulder?
The shoulder,
I
off the
think they're gonna
shoulder for
do
the
grass,
infiltration
aren't
system?
They wanna do all the grass, yeah.
It's grass, not
Yeah,
stone.
it's a grass. swale.
Grass,
It's
grass
like-
It's
swale.
grass, but
No, but it's like Valley
Like it,
Farm, the project we did there. Valley
yeah,
Farm.
so it's
gonna
got the
be
little
like that.
swales on the right-hand side, but how much before it actually drops into the swale? It's not immediate.
looks like it's like six, 3-to-1 slope for
R-
the foot, so you get 3 feet and then a 4 foot.
Edge of pavement to swale is 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet?
3.
3 feet, thank you. That's all I need to know. Okay, perfect. Plenty of room to get the water off, it doesn't pool. If it does, it's over there. And nobody's gonna lose a tire in the rut, okay.
Do we have a consensus?
Yep.
We're gonna do the
I think the
crown.
road
We're gonna
commissioner
do the crown.
went with the crown. Road commissioner override. It is, that's, you can't argue with that. So, okay, what do we got next?
Here, a waiver for the landscape plan.
Same thing that we just discussed?
Yeah.
Okay. We still get it, but it'll be, is that what the issue is? You guys are gonna supply it
There's
afterwards?
not
so
really
you
a
figure it out?
landscape, they have trees shown.
They have trees, they,
Yeah, they go
there's a
out.
plan,
It's
there's a
that they're not
plan here
really
that has,
landscape
shows
plans.
trees.
How many subdivisions you actually get landscape?
Actually, quite a few.
Landscape architect.
The, it's, the landscape architect, usually it's the last one that we did, I think, the landscaper came in and just said, I'm gonna put trees over here, there, and everywhere.
Landscape part.
Landscape,
The
right.
rules require a landscape architect. I don't
So
know
you wanna
if
waive
you
it
have
to the
any
architect?
subdivisions where you have a landscape architect.
Just put only one tree in the cul-de-sac in the center, okay?
Yeah, we've got.
No, it's all
trees
paved.
How about,
He's got trees
can we,
Yeah,
can we
no,
issue
yeah.
the waiver with the
Oh,
modification of
There's
a
no,
landscape
no, the
plan?
cul-de-sac's pavement.
The cul-de-sac's all
Okay.
paved, so you
Okay,
can't put
all
it
right.
in there.
So how about just a
Where
landscape
the
plan?
trash trucks can get around it.
I mean, his site plan here shows everything. There's literally trees all over the
I'm
place,
just
so.
saying, well, okay, so we have a landscape plan.
So a waiver for the architect, but we still require a landscape
You
plan.
can
Does
do
that,
the,
does that meet everybody?
We did.
Bill, you okay with
We've got
that?
street trees.
Okay,
Yeah.
We've got grading, and swale.
Yeah.
okay.
So they're gonna give us a waiver
A
for the
waiver,
architect.
and we'll add a note that says we'll supply a landscape plan.
Got it.
Now, one thing while I'm looking at the other end of it, where there really isn't a cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
you do wanna talk to the fire chief about the ability to back up and everything, if he's all right with that. I don't want him coming in and saying, hey, where's the cul-de-sac? I can't turn around.
What have they done with the plan this month?
Hmm?
What's the fire department done
They have to,
with the plans of the?
did you follow up with them?
We did not.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta
So-
go to him.
either, Phil, you gotta follow up with them, or
I,
you
I,
guys gotta
I
follow
have
up
a
with
hard
them.
time, you know, with it too, because I keep saying, the plan is in the clerk's office.
But it's,
We'd have to get 9 sets of plans, believe me.
Well, we give it to you.
Well, okay, give me one, and give me another one, and I'll give it to them.
but
No,
wait,
we
wait,
already
wait, wait,
gave
wait,
it to
wait.
the fire department.
We already
didn't
gave it
you?
No,
You did?
Oh, you haven't?
Oh.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you had.
Let,
Yeah.
just because we had a problem with this with the, on another project, but when the sets of plans come in with the applications, per the regulation, that go to all the departments, which one of you guys distributed for their comments?
We,
Did you guys do it, or did Phil do it?
we give the plans to you, you distribute.
Okay, so no one wrote an individual cover letter to each department per the regulation? Okay, that's gotta be done.
I didn't
So,
see that.
so somebody take the lead, you guys figure this out.
We'll wreck you. That's fine.
Okay, so it's, if you look in the reg section, there's a whole bunch of boards that have input. Planning, conversation, fire chief,
No,
police
I don't
chief.
think there's anything in the regs that require us to write a letter to all those.
Yeah, they require their input.
Well, it requires the input. but you
Right.
said we
How else you
require
gonna
a
request the
letter.
input?
I don't think that's in the rules.
It's in the rules that they have comment, and they need a
You
set of
can
plans to
check.
comment,
You know,
so.
It really doesn't matter.
That's a sticking point.
Yeah, most towns, we give the plans to the, however you submit them, and the town distributes.
Well, the problem is, nobody is the point person to set up.
It's
a
always been
meeting.
the review engineer. That's, no offense,
Well,
but,
we,
Um,
it's like, well, I'm expected to chase down the applicant to talk about them coming into a meeting,
No,
it
'cause it's
shouldn't
part-
be that way.
because if the application was filed with us, then it's under, it comes under our sub-regs. So therefore, in what we have been doing before, since, you know, we've got new engineers on board, and we just found a ball drop on another one too, that they weren't aware they were doing that. And see, and we had one of the other engineers, been doing it for a long time, and he was familiar with doing it. So we thought once the RPF went out, that, everybody would know to do that, or see it in the regulations, because you gotta be very familiar with it, and you guys know, cause you've been through the reg book quite a few times on different projects over the time. But that's in there. So every department was supposed to get a copy of that plan, with a copy of that section, with a cover letter that said, we need your input within 45 days, et cetera, et cetera. And if that's not happened yet, we gotta jump on that. So let's make who wants to take the ball with that?
We'll do it.
Okay, so all you have to do is take a copy of that page in the reg book, there's 10 departments, I believe, listed. And just get it in there and say, your input is required per the subdivision control law within X amount of days, and that's it. And most times, they don't
7
respond.
days?
X amount of days, I think it's 30 or 45 days is in the regs.
X, that's 10.
Oh, is it 10? It's not 10 in the regs.
The Roman numeral.
Oh. So, just ask them for the input, they don't respond, they don't respond.
You know, I hate to say it, it's, you know, if you do get it to everybody you can think of, okay? And I do that, all right? It's easy to do here in the town hall, cause there's about 5 of them here, but you gotta trek to the other side of town now for the electric light, you know?
I have that here.
Literally, the fire chief, yeah, I could probably just open the door since
get a
the
reg
place
book?
is open and throw it in there, you know, like a newspaper, you know, but there are other situations where, do we need to give it to this one this time or not, you know?
So what happened to the 9 plans we submitted?
There was not 9. Believe me, I got rid of them. I think there's,
She counted them. They were on a box on that desk when you came in.
It was a big box.
yeah, I know,
Okay.
there's 2 in there. One the planning board and one belongs to conservation, still on the desk. That's it.
Okay, so we gotta make
You
this
got-
happen.
You got
and thank
town
for
clerk,
pointing
you
that
got
out.
water, you got, planning, conservation, board of health, highway, okay? We don't generally give something of, you know, electric light, okay? Right there is 7 of them. All right, it should go to the building inspector. We generally give him one when a lot of changes are made to one.
Okay,
'Cause
does
he
anyone
doesn't
have a
come
reg
in
book
until
here so we can look this
later.
up right now?
Now, we'll,
It just-
Okay, I'm just gonna read it to you, or read it on the record, but because we've had boards change hands, sometimes the constitutional memory drops, but that was specifically put in, and I guess we're gonna have to take the hit for that because it, you know, it wasn't put out, but that's in the reg book, and that's why. So maybe that's why we're not getting comments by the fire chief, the police chief, and they may not know because they've changed hands. We have a new chief on both departments, so they probably don't even know that's in there. So, we're gonna have to get that done. So gentlemen, for the applicant, thank you for taking the ball with that.
But we can't give them 45 days, make 45 days for their comments.
If,
Give them 10 days, and that's it.
I can't remember what the reg book says, if it's 30 or 45. 45 is the normal
Well,
comment period.
If you did that in the beginning, yes, 30.
That's what I mean, so,
45,
but
the
10 days, we got a
reality-
holiday coming up, so,
Matter of fact, subdivision control law says the Board of Health, the only other department that has to respond on anything, that's subdivision control law. And they have 45 days. If you don't hear from them, the plan is assumed to meet the Board of Health.
the subdivision regs actually list all 10 departments.
But,
for
I'm saying,
comment.
the subdivision control law says.
Right.
45 days, if they don't respond, so.
Where are
as
we
far
in
as
this
I'm
process
concerned-
for timing?
So if
We
you
got a
do
lot of stuff
20
to do.
days, you're coming back on the 23rd anyway, so if you go and do it tomorrow and you give them 20 days, you're
Okay.
still
You're
getting
done.
comments
Yeah.
before they come back.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, it's all
Really
done.
like to
Okay.
go home tonight.
Okay, where are we? What
Okay,
are we?
next.
Which one? What we just
Uh,
finished?
We just well, we
Landscape
skipped one.
plan.
That was the landscape plan. We're up to lot 4 driveway. It's in the intersection.
Lot 4 driveways right here.
Well,
It's not really an intersection, I
you really,
suppose.
you really don't know where the driveway or the house is gonna be.
It can't really be anywhere but in that intersection though, because the whole lot
So what's
is in the
the-
intersection. Technically speaking, you can't have a driveway in an intersection, but it's not an
Mhm.
intersection of major roads, so. You can't really put a driveway anywhere else on that lot.
So it's gonna be within that distance.
So you need a waiver, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, you could flip it to the left, maybe.
Well,
Like-
you might come in off the cul-de-sac here,
Yeah.
I still don't. I mean, just considering the subdivision, it seems, doesn't seem like an unreasonable place to take a driveway.
Oh, we do waiver. Right?
What's the pros and cons of leaving it where it is? Bill?
It's not gonna be heavily traveled.
It's already,
Yes, no.
no.
Other than somebody ended up in your driveway, what's the,
I mean, it's a reasonable request
That's
for
happening.
a waiver. It's,
Are you going
You know,
uphill?
we comment on what's in front of us now.
Yeah.
We're not gonna redesign or design it for them. So
okay.
we comment what's in front of us. I think that's a reasonable request given the layout.
So how about a grant on the waiver and further review on site review if necessary? Just in case. Is that, everybody go with that?
Yep.
Figure out what the topography dictates
Anything
later.
to keep moving.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
20 past.
HDPE.
we're on number 28. Building.
HDPE.
Hmm?
Did you just give them a waiver for HDPE?
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, we've done that too
We
many
always do that,
times,
so.
yeah. Okay, then we got 29, and that's
Was that a go on 28?
28,
The
yeah.
HDPE,
It's-
yeah.
That's good?
Yeah, we
Phil,
do
you
that
good?
all the time.
Okay.
Subdivision,
29 is,
subdivision, not
I think they're necessary here.
29 talks about, when you propose a road in a cut, it's good practice to do under drains.
Yeah. With that
And,
problem,
CSI is, you know, it does not agree with that, and they're basing it on the well-drained nature of the sand, so.
we did it on Stonebridge, actually. They had to do it twice on Stonebridge.
And the rules say we're required by planning board, so,
Yeah.
and Bob knows what it's like out there.
Yeah, it's this, I don't think we need some drains there. Stonebridge was bad material.
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, I remember there was a huge problem with that, and
Yeah.
fabric wasn't in and all that, so.
You don't need it here.
So is that a go on the waivers?
Yes.
Referring to the,
Yeah.
road commission? Okay.
Number 1 on other comments,
Yeah,
talks about fire department access. And we just said that they should coordinate with the fire department.
okay, and that comes under that whole thing we just talked about, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we, moving on? Our number two, there was original portion of Road B. There's a portion of Road B shoulder that does not include a swell. Oh, you actually adjusted this, right?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, so we, is that part of the one you just?
just, yeah, that's
Okay, yeah.
subsequent to this.
So that, that's resolved.
Okay,
Next page,
It's the
or a few pages under stormwater, that was the one that we first discussed about retro.
all right, so we beat that up, right?
And then,
Discharge, number 3?
yeah, there's, on the watershed, there's, behind the property, there's Murray Court, but there's also Harvard Street. So generally speaking, the water drains towards the back of Murray Court, the back of the home of Murray Court and the back of Harvard Street. So typically, you would break those watersheds up so that you prove that no direct abutter is receiving more runoff. In looking at the plans without doing it, it's fair to say that overall, there's a reduction of flow going to that general vicinity. So we just wanted to, to note that.
So, Ellen?
Yeah.
Let's,
I'm generally okay with that.
Okay. Well, this water just can't go on somebody else's land, that's all there is to it.
so we're gonna get a reduced flow down on Murray and Harvard, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, based on their point of analysis, there's a
Yeah.
reduction of flow. My comment was that you could argue that there's more analysis points. You could break up those analysis points. It would probably show, though, that there's a reduction of flow even in those smaller watersheds.
Okay, so, so accept the data as it is, is that where you're going at? Okay.
Number 5, it is recommended that the proposed ponds include emergency overflow measure and under drainage to drain the basin if needed for clogging for maintenance purposes. CSI's response was, because of the nature of the on-site soils and as shown in response to comment 29 above, water enters the ponds infrequently and fills to a minor depth. Overflows and subdrains are not necessary.
Where was it, we just, had one of these overflows that actually filled up, Jim?
Well, Homestead Lane,
Homestead, yeah.
at times, boy, I mean, if we get right to the top, all three of them. Also, what is it, off of School Street, the, 100, over
Whitestone.
55 Whitestone, I mean,
Yeah.
those are like, Olympic-sized swimming pools down there, there's 4 of them.
So these
And,
retention, detention,
They're infiltrated.
infiltration.
I mean,
So what you're guarding against is,
I don't think that you're gonna see those kind of situations here, because this is kind of like, we're not seeing anything at Sunset Circle, it's the same type of stuff. We haven't seen anything there. If
Don't they have the
anything-
under-
If anything, the
under
water
road
sits in
drains
the
now?
road, cause
Yeah.
it's flat,
So is this one?
so.
There's no way to take the subdrain to
Solution?
the spirit of this comment was such that if these basins are not maintained, over time, they're gonna fill with an organic layer, right?
Right.
So leaves or whatever.
Right, right.
It's not so much the soil below that.
Yeah.
It's the, what is gonna be falling in it or getting discharged in it. So
Mhm.
if the water can't drain, you
It'll-
need some
it'll
other way
build.
to drain it.
Yeah,
So you,
All
what
right, I
you
see your
typically do
point.
is you put a valve pipe essentially that, you gotta make sure that it's closed so that it operates as intended. but when you needed to flush it through, you daylight that, and there's plenty of vertical separation to daylight it. You just gotta make sure it's closed, so that water can infiltrate. It's
Yeah.
only used for maintenance purposes. So, granted, it's a low risk here because of the sandy soils, and they're generally, you know, they're not very steep basins, and it's unlikely that a lot of water will collect. But, like I said, this is one of those things where it's just good practice, in my opinion. But if it doesn't get implemented, the site's, you know, does not have an immediate fear or risk of not working.
So,
I think maybe, to address the beginning of that comment was the maintenance of these areas, and that should be amplified in the O and M plan.
Yeah.
We do have to file a stormwater pollution prevention plan with the NOI that goes to EPA, so it's a land disturbance,
yeah,
so we can include that in there. So what we should do is have a note on the plan that maintenance of the stormwater management areas, some reference to the stormwater pollution prevention plan. You know, it should be on the plan for them.
okay. Now, when we first set these things up, and typically for the first couple of years, that's when you know, see how they're working and operating. We used to put down, Bobby, do you remember that? We used to put a maintenance bond on these things. I don't know what the number was, but, just for cleanup, basically, after the construction and everything like that, things settle down.
We were talking, what was it, holding back $20,000 in cash. You could do the bond, okay, to begin with, but near the end, when the bond's coming down, everything's being done, we would hold back about $20,000 for anything that could happen. And we generally do that for 2 years. At the end of that 2-year period,
So that's,
you know, it should be all
that'll
right.
cover that. So just one of the line items would be a
Yeah.
clean out prior to acceptance. So does that meet, would that suffice?
Prior to acceptance?
Yeah, typically a couple
And
years.
then maintaining an O and M.
Yeah.
And it's not for it's not, that comment is not for the immediate long term. This is, you know, in 2030, that's.
Right,
when-
right.
That's when it's not maintained.
So
right?
that's where the
And-
OEM
And
comes in.
I'm sure Phil's gonna have it maintained, but if it's not maintained, there's a way to drain it and clean it at that time.
Yeah,
As
we used to
opposed
put,
pumping water out if need be.
yeah, we used to put a maintenance bond because, on it for a few years, just for everything to stabilize. And to see if it was gonna operate, and see if you had to expand it or anything like that, so, and then, is there room to put an outflow valve into this plan if necessary?
Well, problem is, two areas, you know, one's here and one's here, which is just natural drainage areas.
Yeah.
In this area, elevation may be 64, and there's nothing lower than that anywhere. You know, water's ponding in here, but if you put a valve in, or a pipe, a standpipe with a valve, you can't discharge anywhere other than into the ground. You know, if you put something in there and ran a pipe into the soil and put some stone in there, you could run into that, but there's no elevation there. Same over here, this is down below elevation 60. Out here, this is 66, 72, up this way, going uphill, you get up to 80 over here. So again, this area, there's no place to place it.
So you'd have to do a dry well, basically. Would that
Yeah.
work?
You'd have to just maintain it. I mean,
That-
All right.
that's the
Maintain it.
All right, so in the memorandum, it's gotta be maintained and in
I
the
think
by
the
OEM.
O&M
All right,
addresses
Yeah,
that.
it just becomes an enforcement issue.
okay,
And
so
there
there
were
you go.
dollar figures in the O&M plan for.
All right, so that
And that
solves
was the
that one.
last thing.
Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to continue till you guys work the last couple things out, is that it? 23rd?
Okay,
Everyone second that?
need a second.
Second.
Okay, there you go. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Meeting?
23rd,
Yeah, 23rd.
so give or take a
Yeah.
month.
21 Wood Street. Having fun? Yeah.
Good evening. Just here a few weeks ago and had a plan that looks very similar to the plan I brought you guys a couple weeks ago.
Oh, look at that.
When we last left our heroes.
Seamless.
After I left last time.
All right, exactly what is the, address?
This address we've been calling 21 and 23 Wood Street.
21, 23. Okay, and we're doing what?
Well, this is a one-sheet version of the two-sheet version that I brought you guys.
Sure.
After I left, there were some discussions about,
Okay. We're doing what?
I was gonna ask you guys to endorse this Mylar, and I'm gonna throw away the other one.
Okay. Because now it's only one sheet,
Because this is one sheet.
as
This
opposed to
combines
signing the
everything
one
together.
sheet of the two sheets last time.
Okay.
Alright.
So the, okay. you
So
don't
it's
need
a
note on the
paperwork, it's a
plan,
paper
right?
keeping thing.
Yeah. Is there a note on the plan that just says, did you even record the other one? Okay. All right. Do you have a different app, a Form A?
Oh, yes.
Look how easy
No,
this
it's,
one is.
let's see, is that a Form A? Do we need another Form A? Just with a new date, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
This should be the
3 copies?
three copies that you need.
Okay, you already paid the fee
Last time, it works,
last
yeah.
time?
Check last time.
So nothing changed other than a consolidation onto one plan? All the notes
This is
there?
what we talked about last time.
Yes.
Yep.
Same
It's
as-
just everything got pushed together. on
What's the
same
scale, still
plan.
same 140?
Yep.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's that, so that was the only change, motion to endorse.
Second. And you say,
Is this existing?
This guy's the existing. What do you mean? This is the.
Oh, that's the setback,
Yeah.
got it. Alright, so that closed in, okay, so that's the new one there, so that goes over to that, got it, okay. So, yeah, motion to endorse,
I second
so
it.
some no changes.
So, and over there. You got that?
Did we vote on that?
You motioned, I seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Alright, so today is the 20th?
Somebody else wanna take over? Somebody else wanna take over.
19. Okay, so we have a motion to endorse. I'll take line 2. Okay, and do you have a paper copy?
Yes.
Send that around to you. And Jim's, who's got the Form As?
I just got that.
This is spot on there, we gotta endorse it. So you didn't see, and, did you have a Form A?
I did actually bring it in.
Did she stamp it? Right, so where's that? So you don't mix it.
So you got to sign line one.
Line one.
Line one.
Big dog gets line one. Chris does. Fight for space. Okay. Oh, you already signed it.
Yeah, he signed those.
Okay. So you're all set.
Still
One,
got-
two, three. Okay, so these are good. What's the other ones?
Just that
Straight
one
in.
there.
Oh, she didn't even stamp it.
Yeah, she just,
Fantastic.
I don't know.
And then this is for our paper, so sign line one.
Stamp.
Don't forget, I need it.
Actually, when I was leaving, she said, I probably should have stamped that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
The registry won't let you sign it.
Okay.
All right, So, you got this one, we'll go with that.
Who likes
Sweet
that?
side, Sweet toffee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So that one's all set for you.
Trying to get out of here.
Good, all right, what else we got quick? I got,
Minutes.
Gotta
gotta
do,
make a
And
run with the
bills.
little
I
ones.
got no minutes.
Okay.
Peer review engineer.
We got bills.
I got bills, okay, I'm gonna go with the bills first and ramble,
Okay,
okay?
I'm gonna leave on ramble.
Well, BZA, 4,080.
So motion.
Second.
Well, I'm gonna do them all, and then we'll vote on all of them.
Okay.
CDG,
It's a,
geothermal,
it's a bunch of,
explosive company.
people's last names. I have no idea what they are.
uh,
Have a good night. Merry Christmas.
let's see, Eagle, will be known as Eagle. Well, these bastards, Jesus, I cannot believe they do this.
Oh, they're expensive.
They are very expensive.
Who's that?
North of
Newspaper.
Boston, the Eagle Tribune.
They even charged us interest. You know, the problem is, I mean, I hate to say it, you know, this town, the way they do business,
We don't
you
pay our
give them
bills
the
on
bill,
time?
and they
Yeah.
pay it 2 months later.
2
What do
months
you
later, yeah,
expect, you know? Jesus, I can't. This is what, 2875. Should've done this.
My daughter's running the console.
I feel like we have funny faces on
Yeah.
our filters now. I'm
Okay, here we gonna go, okay, the bills, GZA, $4,080 even, CDG, 1,496 even, Eagle Tribune, 176.75, .75, Camet Engineering, 2,875 even, Camet Engineering, 3,360 even,
So motion.
okay?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, no, forget the sign off. The budget, what I'm gonna do with that is I'm gonna put another $10,000, I'm asking for another $10,000 for the planner. We
Okay.
think it's gonna cost more, this bumps it to 45,000 at this
Okay.
point. That's the only change I'm doing on in this thing
Okay.
this
Okay.
year. The peer review engineers, what we're trying to find out right now is, I'm trying to contact Nancy Lewandowski to find out, did the Board of Selectmen take a vote on this, or was it a suggestion?
Which?
On the peer review engineers, you know,
That the applicant chooses.
who chooses, the applicant or
Or
the
if we
planning
assign.
board? And we've
No,
been
it's
letting
always
the
been the,
applicant.
what happened was that, just because we were there for it, is that, first we had to adopt it, that every board could do it. Each board adopted it at town meeting, so every board could have a peer review engineer. Okay, then we went with Kemet because we were also writing this on it. We went out for a request, for different engineers. We chose one, which was Kemet. And then later on, because of the one subdivision that had a conflict, the subdivision had a conflict with the Board of Selectmen, that's what brought that in. And then there was a bunch of noise listed. So another request went out for other engineers, and then other engineers were added to the list.
Sure.
But it's always been the board's authority to
Not
assign
gonna
the
do
engineer.
this.
It's never been,
But
The
read it.
applicants.
the applicant's
Okay.
never
Find
been,
out
just like
why
the,
they're getting touchy with
and the
it.
engineer writes the
Because
memorandum
of what
now
they're planning
for the
to
board,
do.
not
It's
for the
basically
applicant.
it
So there's a
comes
couple of things when
down near the end
we
of the
got new
second
engineers
page,
in that the
which is a
original
positive
RFP
thing
didn't get to,
because
as to what their duties were.
Okay.
So that
It's
was
more-
it.
it's-
But
it's
no, we can't have
relevant.
people choosing, because we don't know their,
Well, and a lot of them
background.
keep winding on one as opposed to
right, and that's,
cycling through, so.
yeah. And then that's had some issues, so.
So,
And what's this here?
at this point, what I'm gonna do is, you know, we'll find out from Nancy exactly what did happen and everything, but, you you know.
Well, it was our
it's-
board that made that decision. It wasn't, the selectmen had nothing to do with it. Other than they complained because of the subdivision conflict with the selectmen itself. That
Well,
was
there
it.
was an elevator, problem on the Board of Selectmen where a guy is highly involved in a subdivision
You
at
got
that point.
Well, that's what I mean, so
He's
that's where
voting
that
for
whole
it.
thing arose.
Yeah.
But remember that the engineer works for the board, and we have to have more faith in what, and depending on the project, the intensity of the project and the complexity. We had different engineers that would go through, you have, some guys just do subdivisions and then can't do
What
big
I'm
projects.
trying to get at, Wally, is they're all out there, they're kinda like picking the same guy.
Yeah, but that's our choice, not their choice.
But we've allowed it to be their choice,
I-
and the question
I
is,
don't
should
disagree
we
with that.
begin to take over that choice?
We'll
again?
just make a board vote that we pull it back to the way it was.
Let me check with Nancy first, I mean, I don't wanna overstep
Didn't
a
we
vote.
do something at town meeting, or
We
was
did.
that for, I thought,
We did that at town meeting to accept it so the board could go in. And actually, if you wanna look at anything, that's what we should be looking at, is the town meeting vote for
Yeah.
adoption of that Massachusetts general law where the board gets to allow for consulting engineers
You,
paid for
a
by the
person
end.
of one, will find that, correct?
All right, I'm on it. I wrote it. I better
I-
find it.
Wally, I'm up to hearing it, okay?
I
What
got
is
it.
this?
Read it, it kinda comes to the conclusion on the second page, but I don't wanna say it on camera, but you'll get the gist of it, and this is why the water department is, you know, so interested in saving their wells.
Got it.
Sure.
Okay, and it's a good thing because what it will do, it will create revenue,
Right,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
Motion adjourned?
Okay,
Second,
wait a minute.
when's the next meeting, the 23rd?
the
No.
ninth,
Ninth.
Ninth.
Yeah,
9.
internal.
yeah.
Did we
And
vote?
I'll try to get somebody else in here as well. Okay, the motion is Sorensen, and who did the second?
I did.
Okay, thank you for that, and the vote is unanimous, right? Everybody in
Absolutely,
favor,
Yes.
yes.
Merry Christmas,
Good night,
Happy New
Merry
Year, and
Christmas.
thank you for
Christmas,
watching
Happy
the
New
planning
Year.
board meeting.
Same to the board.
night.
Night.
Same to Charlie.
And Merry Grace.
Charlie talked enough during the meeting.
Yeah.